Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to Wuthering Waves. With update 3.0 just around the corner and Chisa joining our roster of Resonators, there is probably a big portion of you players who are thinking about coming back to Wuthering Waves for the big update. And much like you players, I am one of those players who plan on returning to the game, and I've been looking for a very good excuse to do so. So if you guys are like me and you may have taken a break from Wuthering Waves because things got a little clunky, I'm here to tell you that a whole bunch has changed since you've been away, and I'm here to give you the scoop so that we can stay in the loop. We've got major quality to life improvements, new content, and some serious upgrades to the ecosystem. So let's dive right into it. Alright guys, before we even get into the video on the Returner's Guide and getting back into Wuthering Waves, especially in time for Chisa, I want to talk about the problem and the promise. If you're like me, the major problem stems from the fact that coming back into live service games essentially boils down to the fact that you have been away for days, weeks, months, and depending on who you are, even probably a year. And the longer you have been away, it's harder to get back into. And the craziest thing about this is I'm gonna get a little personal with you guys real quick. So the reason why this is like a common thing that happens is because this is not only a thing that happens in games. Now when it comes to live service, you can also talk about IRL stuff too. Like for me personally, up until a couple months ago, I haven't been really eating right or even doing any type of fitness activity. And now a few months later, I'm currently in the gym, eating better, I got a new job, and I'm working less hours, and I'm pretty much more happier than I've ever been. And now how does this all tie into Wuthering Waves? Well, basically because I did this lifestyle change, it actually brought me away from playing the game and making content. So trying to get back into content and even making Wuthering Waves videos has been a real challenge for me because I'm basically not caught up with Wuthering Waves. I'm out of touch with the information, and it's really hard to try to get back into that. So essentially this whole entire guide is going to be told from a perspective on what I am going to be doing to get back into the game. And if you are a player that's returning, you could probably take this guide and use it for yourself. So guys, by the end of this video, you should know the direction you should take your account as if you never left to begin with. So let's talk about new content and catching up. You are a gacha player, so you very well know as a returning player, or maybe you are a brand new player that found interest in this video. I'm sure you already heard, do your dailies and use your wave plates. And this is just a common rule to use your energy and your resources so that way you don't lack when you return, and just doing your dailies in general is just what you're supposed to do when you're playing a gacha game. But this is already common information that we all know as gacha players, so let's skip over that and talk about other things. So in this catch-up guide, what I want you to do is focus on events. Depending on who you are, you might be someone who's logging in at the end of the update cycle, or you are planning on returning during a fresh new patch like update 3.0 when Chisa releases. Events is going to be where you want to head. Catching up on events is very useful for those of you who are returning because there are some events that are limited, and if there's limited events, basically you want to head there first and obtain those resources and rewards that you could be missing out on if you let them go. These rewards can consist of XP level up materials for your echoes, resonators, or weapons, free gacha summons and gacha currency, or even limited time items that you could be missing out on if you had to play a specific event that could expire, like customized wings and gliders, just for an example. So just make sure you're shuffling through the events to see which ones are permanent so you can focus on these ones last and then focus on the limited ones first. Next up, what you're going to want to do, and what I'm going to be personally doing, is catching up on the story. Now if you're like me, I really don't care for actually sitting through and playing through every single cutscene at times, especially if I'm really far behind, which in this instance I am very far behind. But of course, if you do actually care for the experience, then obviously head to the story first, play through the stories that you actually want to see the cutscenes and know the lore of, and you basically will be all set. You just got to get through it. But my advice is just skip through it, and then you could always watch a lore recap video or watch other content creators play through it, or maybe another person that you know. So then that way you have a easier and a faster time to get back on track. Next up, let's talk about the specific characters in your account. You want to build a game plan when it comes to returning, or if you are even a brand new player listening as well. Basically, what you're going to want to do is do a quick overview of your account. You need to pinpoint spots in it that can be worked on. This could be needing an extra support character that you might want to save up summons for, like Shorekeeper for example, or completing a build on a Resonator to update a 3 composition team. Whatever the case may be, it's good to have a game plan moving forward so that way you start making progress in your account. So for me, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be focusing on leveling up my Resonator skill tree and base levels before deciding to go out and farm echoes. I know personally in my account that I have a lot of Resonators that are seriously lacking in some damage, and a lot of them aren't even leveled up yet. Heck, I even have some Resonators that are level 1 that I haven't even started building around. I have so much potential on this account that there's just so much things that I need to be doing that realistically I don't even have to be pulling for new characters. I should be building from the ground up with the current teams and characters that I have right now. So essentially, much like me, I think you guys should focus on your skill tree and leveling up your weapons and Resonators first. And by first, I mean before even farming your echoes and trying to roll for substats and getting the best echoes possible for the these said resonators, because realistically you just need normal leveling up, skill tree, and weapon level ups in order to complete the baseline content in this game that is not endgame hardcore content. And if you are a returning player that has built any resonators in the past and you go to farm echoes, then you know how tedious it is to try to get the most perfect main stat and then after have to roll for substats and get the best substats possible for that said resonator. So that's why in my opinion it's definitely more efficient to focus on the resonator's level, skill tree, and the resonator's weapons first, and then you can get into the echo side of things. It is extremely important to keep in mind that even with the worst build on resonators, you can clear the entirety of the game's story content and side quests without having maximized builds to work with. And then even when you are ready to build a said resonator that's going to be finalized, or at least you're going to attempt to finalize them because of the RNG portions of the game when you are rolling for substats and main stats, you want to make sure that you have enough XP level up materials and resources so that way you can build that resonator to the maximum capacity that they are meant for. Which is why it's important to do the story content first, all your side quests or as much side quests as possible, because I know they can get kind of tedious at times. Level up all your characters' skill trees, levels, and weapons, and then you can focus on the end game content. And that's why they call it end game content, because there's a path that you're supposed to take before you even think about trying to test your resonators and your builds to the maximum ability. If you guys want to know what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be focusing on my support characters first. So this means Barina and Shorekeeper, and make sure that they're the best to their ability. And then I'll be building support battery type of characters like Wuwa, for example, who adds extra attack amplifications to my main DPS characters, because the characters that I just listed off, Shorekeeper, Barina, and Wuwa, are characters that I can use across multiple teams when I go to add another character to fix those teams up. So basically a summary and a TLDR of what I just explained, I would 100% focus on your support characters first and then branch out to your DPS characters, because support characters provide versatility to your account. While DPS characters are more flashier and stay on the field for longer periods of time, they only can be used in certain situations, unlike support characters who will always be there for your characters no matter what. Now real quick, I want to touch up on quality of the life features, because there's a lot that has passed by through the game if you have been away for a while. And the quality of the life features go all the way from having an in-game guide of people who have made certain builds on specific resonators that will help you out when referencing for your build. And this is one of the first big gacha games that I've seen do this. You can correct me if I'm wrong. If there's another gacha game out there that has done basically a thing where they include other players' builds inside the game reference itself, then let me know in the comment section down below. And now we got the wings, which allows you to fly throughout the map, which makes open world exploration 10 times easier. That is now backwards compatible with the older versions of the game. So if one of the reasons why you left and you kind of got sick of it is because you went to Resonator and you have these wings to help you do open world exploration and 100% those maps, well, the good news for you is now it's basically backwards compatible and can help you out in the earlier versions of the game. And it realistically doesn't end there, because Wuthering Waves development team QoL Games did announce that in future updates and future regions that we'll have easier time exploring, because they're going to add extra stuff like the wings in those updates. If you were a player in the past that complained about how dull and dead Wuthering Waves looked, or when they made the changes it bothered you even more, well, I got good news for you. We basically have a new color guide system that allows us to change the way that the game looks in game without needing an NVIDIA graphics card or any type of graphics card that supports color changes, or any type of color and graphics enhancements that would require you to have a specified PC. And all this can be done within your settings under the global filter. Also, if you are unaware, speaking of graphics, they actually re-added 120 FPS from when we had it in the beta. So if you were a player that really enjoyed having 120 frames per second, well, it's back, and you can basically access that if you come back to the game. Our voices were also heard when it came to the brutal echo farming feature of the game, where if you were a person who's trying to min-max their character and get them to the best possible ability for endgame to help you clear that content, most of us Wuthering Waves players know that farming echoes is very RNG based and is one of the most difficult tasks to do in the game. Essentially, it's like rolling for a 5-star character, except it is for your echoes, and basically when you do this, you waste a lot of materials doing so. Hence, they added the data modifiers, which they did not make it so that way it would help us when rolling for substats. Like for example, you roll a really bad substat and you want to re-roll on that substat because the rest of the pieces are good. You can't actually choose which substat to get rid of and then try to re-roll it. That would actually be awesome though. However, at least they did do something. And what that thing was they allowed us to basically change the main stat of a given echo that has a poor main stat rolled. So for example, you absorb an echo, say you're farming for a 4-star character to basically put as your main echo on a character, and the main stat is absolutely garbage. Well, if you don't feel like refarming that thing, you can actually use a data modifier to change that that main stat to something that you actually want, which isn't exactly a direct fix to the whole substat issue. However, it is something and will take something over nothing. Well, guys, that is all I have for today's returners guide. There's probably a bunch of QoL features that I missed that are actually being introduced to the game as we speak. However, this should give you a generalized idea of what to expect when you come back, and hopefully it gave you an idea of what to do for update 3.0 or for any future updates for those of you watching in the future. If you did enjoy the video, hit like, comment your thoughts, and also hit subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. Thanks, guys. Peace out.